I was looking for something a bit more powerful than my Surface Go, but still relatively portable, power efficient and above all very cheap. It should be capable of simple video editing and light gaming, while being able to take it to another room without much hassle, or even occasionally throw it into my backpack and do stuff somewhere else. I think a Raspberry Pi 5 or similar single-board computers could fit the bill very well, but they seem a bit overpriced for the performance you get. Also, I wanted something with a Ryzen processor, since my experience so far with AMD integrated graphics was generally positive. And being x86, I can run almost any software easily. Another benefit of a Ryzen setup is that it is easier to mess with something like SteamOS, since the hardware is somewhat related to what is inside the Steam Deck, and this is something I wanted to try out for a while. There are tons of Ryzen mini PCs out there, and for a used one I saw some offers from €100 on eBay. Maybe if I'm lucky I could get something for a bit less on an auction. What sucks is that many of these cheaper ones take out the RAM and storage, and if you have to buy RAM separately for DDR4 or DDR5, it gets expensive rather quickly. So you have to look out for that. And pro tip, if something has soldered RAM, it cannot be gutted for profit. Still bad for upgradability, but the price you pay is generally more reasonable. But apart from mini PCs, there's an even cheaper option, for those who are brave enough. You can get a broken laptop, as long as the motherboard is still working, or like I did, just get the motherboard itself. Sometimes you can get a broken laptop for almost free. So I was scrolling on eBay and stumbled upon this motherboard for €40 including shipping, from a ThinkPad X395 with a Ryzen 5 3500U, Vega 8 graphics and only 8GB of soldered RAM. Sadly non-upgradable. But hey, if the MacBook Neo can run fine with 8GB, this one with Linux should fly. It also did not have any storage, but I had a €10 coupon for which I needed the purchase to be at least €50. So I added a wimpy 128GB SSD for €15 to the order, bringing the total to €45. This motherboard has better I/O than most modern laptops, with 2 USB-A ports, 2 USB-C ports that can do display output and at the same time power the board, a full-sized HDMI, an audio jack, which I appreciate a lot, and this weird proprietary network port that I don't really have a use for. Also, it has a SD card slot, so I can expand the storage just like on the Steam Deck. Next, I needed a USB-C power supply. I tried with this 33-watt phone charger. It turns on, but I get a warning and then it browns out during boot. I also have a powered dock, which works, but for some reason I don't get display output through the USB-C if I power the board with it, only through HDMI. So I bought a 65-watt laptop charger for €7. So it can power it on, and then I connect the dock to get display, keyboard, mouse, network and more. Something it also did not come with is a power button. I found some on AliExpress for around €10, but I actually don't need one. It turns on automatically when I plug it in. But one key thing is missing, a case. The PCB on this motherboard is actually quite thin and flimsy, so I have to handle it with care. Not ideal when you have a curious cat around. I could just put it in a cardboard box, cut some holes for the parts, some speed holes and call it a day. But since I have a 3D printer now, this is the perfect use for it. So I took some measurements, some photos and created a 3D model with OnShape, which is a free CAD software that runs on the browser. And it worked first try. Nah, just kidding. It never does. I messed up some measurements, trusted the pictures too much, so I ended up having to restart. Not once, but twice. What saved me is that I found some PDF service manual with drawings of the motherboard. I just had to scale it to the right size and base the CAD drawing on it. Another reason I had to restart is because my first designs were not sturdy enough. And since the motherboard is a bit big, I had to split the case in half and then glue the pieces together after printing. Finally, after printing for the third time, it fit reasonably well. I'm not completely satisfied with this case, but it works. Printing takes way too long, so this will have to do it. So now a short design overview. I made the base with these thick sides for rigidity, and to join the parts I added 3 triangular slots, where pins are inserted before the 2 halves are joined with superglue. I added these holes to make the print a bit faster, but they also work as handles, so I can carry it around with ease. For the top, I decided to just leave the 2 halves separated, with some discrete speed holes on the opposite side of the exhaust, so air is hopefully pulled from one side of the board to the other. For closing, I decided to add mating surfaces to the holes, with slight slopes. No screws required here, they simply snap to the base. At the end, I had a somewhat nice and sturdy case, not like my previous attempts, but it was warped. I don't have footage, but it was more or less like the shape of a potato chip, with 2 opposite corners pointing up and the other ones pointing down. So I decided to take a risky move. With the motherboard inside, lid closed, I put it on the oven at a low heat, around 70 degrees Celsius, and kept an eye on it. After just a few minutes, it became flat like a pancake. The vent hole was a bit saggy, so I flipped the pancake and switched the oven off, opened the door slightly and left it cooling for a few minutes. Now it looks much better. But something I did not anticipate is that the case shrunk a bit, like shrink wrap. Maybe I could use this in my favor in future designs. But it wasn't all that bad. Some parts are sticking out a bit more now, and I got this gap between the cover pieces. Maybe it helps with ventilation, who knows. So I guess now the hardware part is almost done. Just to finish it off, I added these Ryzen and Radeon stickers I had from an old build. So now we just need a fitting operating system. I actually tested a few, even Windows 11, since there's a Windows license tied to the motherboard. But considering that it only has 8 GB of RAM and some of it is reserved for the iGPU, Linux is the way to go. The 2 contenders today are Lubuntu and SteamOS. Lubuntu because it's lightweight, stable, easy to use, also I'm very familiar to it. And SteamOS, well, because it is cool and trendy and supposedly it makes it super easy for gaming on Linux. Starting with Lubuntu, it is fine, very snappy, basically the same as on my Surface Go, but better. Overall a solid experience, recommended. Now with that out of the way, SteamOS, the OS that could steal the gaming supremacy from Windows. Well, let's start from the beginning. Installation is supposed to be quite easy, if you have an NVMe drive. Not so much for SATA SSDs, like mine. So I actually made a video about the process, which was driving me crazy and almost regretting choosing SteamOS. But after it is installed, the game mode is quite nice. If what you want is a console-like experience, that's the way to go. Then you also have the desktop mode, which is very Windows-like, with a taskbar at the bottom, a start menu, notification icons, clock and so on. It is pretty solid, with the so-called immutable system. Everything works great. The only drawback for me is that it is a bit heavier, using around 2 GB of RAM compared to the 700 to 800 MB of Lubuntu. Maybe I should try installing a lighter desktop environment. But first, let's test some games, to see how it goes. On the Surface Go, I tried OG Skyrim, which was playable at 720p low with around 40 FPS. On the Steam Blade, I can play at 1080p low around 45 FPS, which is a nice upgrade. Or I could play at 720p low at a locked 60. So I decided to try the Witcher 3 Classic Edition with DX11. At 720p low I get a cinematic 24 FPS, and if I drop the resolution to 1024 by 768, the lowest that the game UI supports, it gets a bit closer to 30 FPS at around 26.7 FPS. But there's also the low spec gamer option, for which you have to find the game config file to set a custom resolution. My monitor seems to support 720 by 400, so I ended up using this one. This makes the game quite blurry, Nintendo Switch style, but you get almost 40 FPS in some areas, so maybe it is worth it. I don't know, pick your poison. But performance-wise, I don't see much of a difference to using Lubuntu. The FPS are very similar, maybe even slightly better on Lubuntu. But I suspect there's some issue with the cooling. Maybe I will try reapplying the thermal goo or adding more speed holes. Since I'm mostly on the desktop mode, I think Lubuntu is a better fit as a daily driver, with an extra gig of free RAM. But I have yet to try SteamOS with a lightweight desktop environment, so I can have my own Vapor OS. For portability, it is quite nice. I can pair it with my portable monitor, which just needs a single USB-C cable. I can use a cheap and light Bluetooth keyboard, no problems, and maybe I could glue some magnets to the case to hold it. Oh look, now it's a Raspberry Pi 600. But the only thing missing would be a battery, but usually I'm not that far away from a power outlet. Well, it's not the most portable solution, especially with all the extras, but I think it's not much behind a regular laptop. Maybe I should turn it into a modular laptop. Watch out, framework. Overall, I am quite satisfied with how it turned out and with its performance. It's not earth-shattering, but it is a nice bump over the Surface Go. I can play some games and edit my videos fine. What do you guys think? I sure had a lot of fun putting it together, but is it better than just buying a cheap mini PC? At least I think it's better than most of the seller-owned ones. Anyway, thanks for watching and until the next time. Bye.